more than a decade after various world leaders, including current US President Joe Biden, condemned him as a terrorist for his role in the Afghan war documents leak. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange may finally be able to return home to Australia as a free man. The high-profile activist, who has languished in a British prison for the last 5 years, is presently on the way to a US court in the Northern Mariana Islands. When he gets there, Assange is expected to plead guilty to a single charge of conspiring to obtain and leak classified US documents. This charge is expected to come with a prison sentence of 62 months, though if reports are to be believed, US prosecutors will consider the time Assange spent in a UK prison as part of that sentence. Therefore, short of some unforeseen hiccups, Assange is likely to walk away from all this a free man, able to return home to his wife in Australia. To put it mildly, his journey to freedom has been long and less than straightforward, with free press advocates, protesters from all walks of life, and even some politicians coming together under the banner of the Free Assange campaign to secure his release. With a conclusion to the Assange saga close at hand, let us take a brief look at how things got to this point. Assange's story starts with the 2010 leak referred to as the Afghan War Diary, a series of classified US military documents that shed a particularly unflattering light on American combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Among them was an infamous video that appeared to show 2 US helicopters killing at least a dozen unarmed civilians in Iraq, including 2 journalists. In total, Assange and his leak contact, an intelligence analyst named Chelsea Manning, released tens of thousands of documents. The US contended that Assange and Manning's work, done in the name of radical transparency, was in fact reckless and endangered the lives of US operatives across the world. Assange's supporters disagreed and said his work was vital for holding those in power to account for their actions. Manning, a US citizen, was arrested in short order for their role in the classified documents leak and eventually sentenced to 35 years in prison before their jail term was commuted by President Barack Obama in 2017. Assange, on the other hand, would not be charged until 2019. In the meantime, he would face sexual assault charges in Sweden and would be arrested in December 2010 in the UK so that he could be sent to Sweden to face justice. Assange denied all charges, insisting that the whole situation was a ruse to extradite him to the US so that he could face charges for his role in the Afghan war documents leak. He would evade further action by the UK government when he sought asylum with the Ecuadorian embassy, where he would remain as a guest for 7 years. Soon enough, however, his relationship with his hosts began to sour, with the Ecuadorian ambassador slamming Assange for his terrible hygiene and discourteous behavior. In 2019, the embassy allowed UK authorities to enter and arrest Assange, coinciding with a US Justice Department indictment that sought to hold him responsible for illegally obtaining and then distributing classified US documents. Assange faced 18 charges as part of the indictment, which could see him facing 175 years in prison if he was found guilty. Up until this week, for the last 5 years, Assange was kept in a high-security UK prison with no allowance for bail, as he was seen as a flight risk. While in prison, he also continued fighting attempts to extradite him to the US, an effort that seemed to be a losing battle up until this year. In 2024, the Australian government passed a motion calling for the US and UK governments to allow Assange to return home. In April, US President Joe Biden responded to this diplomatic effort by saying that he would consider the request from Australia to drop all charges against Assange. This is where the situation becomes somewhat murky. As yet, it is unclear how and why the US government agreed to reach a deal with Assange that would allow him to go free, or even what precisely the deal includes. Mounting public pressure and backroom diplomacy by the Australian government likely had a part to play, but it is hard to be specific until one of the involved parties decides to spill the beans. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comments section, and for more news, subscribe to India Today.